The first humans to set foot on North American soil are called Paleo-Indians. Paleo-Indian projectile points are also known as Clovis points, named for Clovis, New Mexico, where they were first discovered. Today, archaeologist Darren Lowry searches the Chesapeake Bay region for Clovis sites. But while he finds proof of their presence, he also discovers evidence of their disappearance. Throughout the entire Delmarva Peninsula, all evidence of Paleo-Indian Clovis people vanishes above one particular layer in the soil, a layer laid down around 13,000 years ago, or around 10,000 BC. For some archaeologists, this soil profile along the shores of the Chesapeake points to where and when prehistoric people lived.
Here we have Clovis folks living. At the base of this, we have people living roughly 11,100 years ago. So at this layer we have 13,000, here we have 11,100 years ago. How do you explain this?
Around 10,000 BC, at the start of the Ice Age, several different glaciers form in the mountains of northern Canada. After thousands of years, these great walls of ice merge and advance as one. Scientists call it the Laurentide Ice Sheet, named for the Laurentian mountains that it engulfs. A glacier like the Laurentide Ice Sheet is supercompacted snow. As the snow accumulates, it becomes denser and denser until it becomes ice. If the summers are cool, then the ice does not melt. As more and more snow accumulates, glaciers like the Laurentide Ice Sheet begin to move under their own weight. Soon, however, the Earth begins to warm and the glaciers begin to recede. During this warming period, humans and megafauna take advantage of a flourishing ecosystem. But around 10,000 BC, the global climate abruptly reverses. To understand the climate prehistoric humans must endure around 10,000 BC, Dr. Ed Brook examines ice cores.
An ice core is a cylinder of ice that we collect by boring through the polar ice sheets with a specialized drilling tool. We get back this really pristine-looking cylinder of ice that's up to about 2 miles long, and we can learn all kinds of things by measuring the chemical composition. Ice is definitely not just frozen water. There are little air pockets in the polar ice, little bubbles in them, containing ancient atmospheres. There's not very much air, but there's enough to make good measurements of many of the things we're interested in.
One of which is the greenhouse gas methane. In the northern hemisphere, swamps and bogs naturally produce methane gases. The wetter and warmer the climate is, the more methane is produced. In order to examine the air that Paleo-Indians and mammoths breathed, Dr. Brook cuts several slices of 13,000-year-old ice and melts it under controlled conditions. The amount of methane in the ice is revealing.
What we see methane doing in these ice core records is varying very, very abruptly. When we see methane change, we are fairly sure that what we're seeing is a fairly widespread climate change throughout the world.
A climate change that is fast and furious. After hundreds of years of warming, reduced methane levels, among other factors, tell scientists the Earth very suddenly and very quickly cools and returns to Ice Age conditions.